Hey everyone, welcome back to the course here. So as is stated in the course content for this module, Module 2, we're going to be dealing specifically with more of the hardware algorithms and like some conditional statements. So that's really what we're going to look for today. So just if you look to the left here of your screen with your simulated and virtual microbit, you'll just notice again we have the pins that we've been talking about in this module from 0, 1, and 2. And then we have an output for a 3 volts, and as well as a output for ground. We still have our two push buttons of A and B just as before, along with our array of 5x5 LEDs. But let's just get straight to the code because we're going to do some different things today. So we are going to always start with our event handler. So if you remember that from last time, so we're going to grab an input function. So when you actually select input for our event handler this time, we are going to use on button A pressed, and we're going to drag that over. Notice as soon as I drag it over, my microbit lights up because I've started this correctly. Now what I want to do is, because we are going to be making this project work with light, I'm actually going to have to create a variable. So we did this last time as well, but let's go to our red blocks and variables, select that, and I'm going to go up and I'm going to create a variable just at the top in gray where it says make a variable, and I'm going to entitle this light. Once I'm done, I'm going to select OK, and now you'll see that I have a light variable in play. So what I want to do now, because we're going to be using music and actually creating music and playing it out of our headphones, I need to actually go and use some of the music functions. So I'm going to select music, and the first thing I'm going to do is going to grab a rest, which is the third one down, and I'm going to drag the rest over top underneath my event handler on button A pressed. Notice as soon as I do that, what happens here, this is really powerful for me, and I think it'll really empower your students as well, is it sets up where you actually are going to use the alligator clips. And if you don't actually have alligator clips, a little trick is you can actually just use like tin foil and other metallic conductors like that. But you actually are going to connect one from the 0 all the way to the tip of the headphone jack, and another one from the ground to the bottom portion of the headphone jack. This makes it a lot easier for students to see that visual. But while I'm here, I'm going to actually change my rest to 1/16 of beat. I'm not a music teacher, so forgive me if I say anything incorrect with the music, but it is something really cool for your students, and it is something tangible that can really help students understand the concepts that we're trying to get across. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go and set my variable based on light level. So I'm going to use my variable here, and I am going to set light, or set item, sorry, and I'm going to use the drop-down menu to change this to light. And now I want to grab another input and light level, because what I'm really trying to do is set light level so that we can create our conditional if-then statements and go over algorithms of how it works. So if we have this, then output this. So now we're going to get into the meat of all this. So now we are going to get into our logic sequences, which seem daunting, but once you go over this, it won't seem overly difficult, I hope. So let's grab this, and we want to then use our second one in, which is if then else. So again, so when we're talking about this, we're talking about basic logic sequences here, where if we have this given input, produce this output. If not, produce another output. So these are things that we use in real life and everyday language all the time, which makes it more adaptable and useful and student-friendly language for students. So what we are going to do is we're going to have to grab another logic sequence here, which is a greater or less than statement. So I'm going to grab that and place it over the true block. And now I need to grab my variable, because we've been consistently referring to light. So I'm going to grab a variable and put light over top the first 0. And I'm going to say if light is less than, and we're going to use a scale, we're going to use 25 as our first number. If light is less than something, then we must have some type of output. So for this one, we're going to go to music, and we are going to grab a ringtone, and we're going to grab middle C. So we're just going to place that in. So now, if light is less than 25, we are going to play this note. But then we have this else function. But because we want to go on and have deeper logic sequence and conditional statements, and we want to go over algorithms and make it deeper understanding, we are going to click on this little blue block here. And this will allow me to change my sequence of code. So what I can do here is I'm going to drag the else if, and I'm going to drag that right underneath. And now you're going to see that when I click back off here that I have now an else if function, which I didn't have before. So this allows you to change this in Make code, and it's a very versatile tool and can be really friendly. Now, because I want to save time and I don't want to have to keep doing the same process I did the whole time to set this up, I'm going to grab my first line of the if statement and I'm going to duplicate it by right clicking, and then you can see that I have the option to duplicate. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this down underneath in the else if block. I'm going to leave everything the same, except I'm just going to change the numerator that I have here, and I'm going to change from 25 to 50. And that's all I want to do. So else, if light is less than 50, produce a different ringtone, and that's the outcome or the output that I'm looking to get. So now I'm going to duplicate the ringtone. So I'm going to right click, duplicate the ringtone, and place that underneath in the then statement. But in this time, instead of middle C, I want to change the note being played, so I am going to actually click on it, and you'll see I'll be prompted with this keyboard, and we're just going to move up one note each time. So we are going to select D, and then you can kind of hear it there. All right. Now, because I'm back with this else, I need to do something here. And if you remember from last time, we could do something different, but I just want to take it slow. I'm going to just select my blue block again, and I'm going to add yet again another else if statement underneath. And then sure enough, when you look, there's an else if statement. So you guys probably know what we're going to do. We're going to repeat the pattern, which is an algorithm. It's just a basic pattern of how we get there. So I'm going to duplicate this block yet again, place it in. And you can kind of probably see the pattern that we're going to use. So this time I'm going to go up to 100. We're talking about growing patterns, which you can extend for student understanding in math as well. And now I'm going to change the ringtone and duplicate that again. But instead this time of playing middle D, you probably guessed it, that it's going to be middle E. And then you can test it out by hearing the note there yourself. So now all we're doing is we are going to, I got to add another statement again. So I'm going to do this just so people can see it and they get used to the process of how to actually do this. And then I'm going to take my else if statement. I'm going to duplicate, bring this down, and this time I'm going to change to 150. And I'll duplicate yet again my ringtone. And instead of middle E, we'll go to F. And let's just do one more. So we will add one more statement. So I'll add my else if. Perfect. And let's copy this one more time. And this time we'll just do 180. So we'll put this in, change our numerator, 180. Copy our ringtone. Awesome. And we'll change from middle F to middle G. And then else, now this is going to finish off the sequence all under our event handler. I'll copy this one more time, but I'm just going to have, if all else fails, we're going to play middle A. Okay, so now here's your code sequence. That's all you need. So you can save that, take a look, here it all is for you, and I can put the screenshot of the completed code in there, but I really suggest you try it and do it with the video. I've just named mine headphones here, and you can save your project just so that you can go back to it and manipulate this for the students and find some other cross-curricular objectives that you want to complete with your students. But I always suggest just saving it, stores in your projects, and you can share this and iterate this code later on. And you can challenge your students thinking, seeing if they can do something else where maybe the variable isn't light and we're doing something totally different. But I'm just going to save this. Good job, everyone, and let's keep going.